Is it going to be a difficult choice? Sridhar Vembu, Zoho, the Kamath brothers, or Zerodha, so many stories. Naika, Ms. Nair there. Yeah.
You know, Anand, if I reward age, to answer that question of yours, if I reward age, I reward the exuberance of youth. If I reward experience, I reward persistence and determination. If I reward achievement, it's of course the innovation and the hard work. So it's a very difficult balance to maintain. But you know, in the startup story, there's one story that stands out for me, which is of the Kamath brothers. They have taught an entire country to invest. Zerodha. 90s and the 2000s, the stock market was a taboo in many second and third tier cities.
Correct.
Today, children are, people who are turned 18 are picking up their PAN cards, their Aadhaar cards. They want to sign up. And they are not calling it a gambling or they are not calling it a bet. They're calling it serious investment. This is what I call a story of innovation, a beautiful story that people in India right now saying, we understand how the FD works. They're telling their parents, yes, we understand how the FD works. But this is the future. That is what the Kamath brothers have done. For me, the Zerodha story is one that will be told for generations to come, that how they taught an entire country to invest without it being a taboo. That's one heck of a story for me. But also coming to another category, you know, there is one name. Yeah.
Please, complete.
There is one name, you know, within the politics category that stands out for me. Anand, I cover economics to a larger extent. We discuss a lot of economics on our shows. You know, there is one name that has stood the storm while the entire world, the entire economies of the world, developed and developing, big and small, are making one blunder after the other. She's holding the purse tight and she's holding it with great confidence. Maybe not right now, but come 2023, the next few quarters, we'll realize the impact our finance minister has had in steering this economy through a storm, through a global economic storm. That is also another story for me to watch out for.
No, absolutely, and taking nothing away from any of the other nominees, she has had a very, very hard cross to bear on her, on her shoulders, and the weight of expectations from her has not been easy at all, if you were to look at it. And quite literally, she has had very little outside of the Prime Minister and of course her own team. There hasn't been too much of a support gathering for what she's done. It's everything that she's been done has been scrutinized threadbare. The budgets that she's been presented has been, everybody's gone through a fine-tooth comb to find how is it that we cannot give her any due credit. So when you're fighting against adversity and you're standing tall there, it's just phenomenal. And all of this has happened for Nirmala ji in just about a decade, just over a decade. She broke into the entire political scene sometime soon after 2010, 2011. That's when she broke into the entire political scene. And by 2022, she's shouldering the burden of an economy or a nation that wants to become a $5 trillion economy. So it's a phenomenal story for Nirmala ji, just as it is for the Kamath brothers. You know, Tushar, because the Kamath brothers have not taken any debt till date. It's just amazing. They and the vision that these are youngsters, okay, and the way that they have thought themselves out and what they are trying to do, they are actually investing in setting up startups in tier 3 cities and rural India. They are saying any finance-based, capital market-driven startup idea, we are willing to fund you and we don't even want the money back. We don't expect it back. Just come up with a brilliant idea, and their focus is tier 2, tier 3 and rural markets. Amazing vision. You have to celebrate this vision. Sridhar Vembu, Padma Awards, and he said, I don't want to go because I've got other things to do and my priority is delivering to the customers and taking Zoho to a different level. He's again an enigma. These are people who have reached a certain level of self-actualization, so in their lives, that accolades don't matter. Giving them accolades matters to us and also those who want to be inspired by their story, Advaita. That's what it comes across even from the likes of Nitin Kamath or the others also. They just seem to have reached a space of self-actualization where their goals are clear, their fundas in life are very, very clear. And उनको अवार्ड देके हमें गर्व होता है. It's like that. They are not saying कि मुझे अवार्ड दे रहे हो कि नहीं. They are not in that zone at all.
No, absolutely, and since like Yogi Adityanath, for example, he's young when it comes to politics, still in his 40s, a second time chief minister of the largest state in UP. You're talking about fundas being clear. I think in politics there isn't anyone whose fundas are more clear than him. And speaking as a woman and someone who studied the Mission Shakti program in UP and seen the impact it's had on female safety, Anand, you know this, I know this because we've done a lot of debates on women's security, and specifically in Uttar Pradesh also because it's the largest state, it gets most of the attention in these cases. There has been a sea change from the time that girls couldn't go to their tuition classes because their parents wouldn't let them go, because there were boys on the streets heckling them, to the kind of freedom that we're seeing now. For me, I feel very passionately about this because, we see these terrible cases of female security, and somebody who's just got his fundas clear, I repeat, has been able to, set it on the right path. We're not there yet. And hopefully we will get there.
For me, what stands out is that these people like Ayaz Memon started it out and said they have made lasting change. And have they opened up the horizons? Have they opened up a new dynamic? Have they opened new possibilities? And that's where your winners start emanating from, when you want to start choosing from. So overall, any pick for the Indian of the Year? Are you also expecting a surprise? We've kept something in the bag. There's a rabbit out of the bag that will be pulled out of the hat. But for you, what stands out, Ayaz Memon? Who would you like to see win the Indian of the Year? The overall Indian of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, I have obviously a bias towards somebody from sports, and we've actually, why I'm saying sports here, is that in the last year and a half, 2 years maybe, India's been doing exceptionally well.
Correct.
Breaking barriers in the Olympics, really coming good at the Commonwealth Games, in team sports, also doing extremely well. Yes, I mean, we're not a world superpower in terms of sports yet, but I think the breakthrough in sport is reflective of a certain emerging mindset, which is, hum piche nahi hatenge, hum aage jayenge. And I think that's very important for me in terms of understanding the national sentiment, the national mood, and the national aspiration.
So a sports star. Now he stopped short, but he's named who his favorite is because he's talked about only one sports star right through this episode. So we know who he's actually for. So we got there. We got that locked, Ayaz. I look forward to seeing you, Advaita Kala. One person who you would want to see win the award across categories. One person. Ki bhai, isko to deo.
It's actually a community. I think our health workers, our doctors, our nurses, and, I think COVID, we're just getting out of the pandemic, and it has been hugely traumatic for people, for the economy, for the world. And I really think our health workers should be recognized because they were themselves lost so many lives. And if we're here today and if we're feeling optimistic and celebrating the Indians of the year and of the past and the present and the future, I think our health workers in the last 2 years have made that possible for us.
No, absolutely. And their work continues. It's ongoing. And they are champions. And the kind of adversity that they have gone through. Each ASHA worker in each region is a story in herself. But we have to look at them as a collective and perhaps push them up. And somewhere, this collective getting the prominence and the stage on Indian of the Year would just add a little more into the levels of cognition so that the next time she's knocking at the door, people will know that she needs to be treated with respect and she's here to help us survive and help us increase our own longevity and make our lives better. Tushar Gupta, one Indian of the Year amongst all the nominees across categories.
Anand, possible to have all nominees be awarded the Indian of the Year award. But it's a very difficult choice. At the end, Anand, I'm looking at a global economic storm. I'm seeing regimes falling. I'm seeing lockdowns. I'm looking at so much. And I then look at the finance minister and I see one woman standing strong amongst the global economic storm. For me, she's the Indian of the Year.
Well.
If I had to pick one,
great choices. You've got to be there on awards night in person to see who's winning it, who's not. Some of the winners have been locked in. Others we're still counting and the jury is still out there and we're having the editorial board pick out on the juries. But yes, whoever is winning, aapko lagega ki boss, this person deserves it.